This is an Air Jordan and Nike Court Zoom Zero collab, and until last week, I had no idea it existed. And as a foot doctor that runs a shoe review channel, that's actually kind of embarrassing for me to admit. However, now that I have them in my hands, I am just glad that I got a pair. Now, the original Zoom Zero was the precursor to what's now the GP Turbo. Now, the Zoom Zero was pretty popular among sneakerheads as well as recreational players. Never really took off on the Pro Tour like the Nike Vapor line, though. Now, the original Zoom Zero is a low-top tennis sneaker. However, the Jordan version puts a high top on it as well as a Velcro closure and a lot of other really interesting Easter eggs. Alright, so let's get right into Easter eggs with these things. As you can see right off the bat, 23 and 93 right here on that Velcro closure. Not only does that Velcro closure give you a ton of midfoot stability because it is sucking in to the high top part of the shoe, but also it's pretty cool. It's giving you Jordan's number as well as the year he retired from the Bulls, which is pretty interesting. The other thing I really love about these here is in the tongue. It's a shag carpet version of the Jumpman logo, which I just love because it kind of also matches like that retro 90s motif going on here on the inside of the ankle collar. And you get these pops of color on the outside, as well as on the outsole rubber. You get the same kind of pop of color from that purple outsole to the teal midsole foam, then it goes white, then yellow. So this shoe all around is just these awesome little pops of color everywhere, while also giving you some Easter eggs here and there in the shoe. What I also love is the really kind of shimmery silver that goes all the way around this high top. It almost looks like the helmet from back in the Rocketeer, back in that 90s movie. So it almost looks like you're really kind of flying fast through the air. And it also has these really cool retro, almost like old school vintage airplane wing struts right here where the Velcro actually sucks down into the shoe. So it also just kind of looks really streamlined. So you're getting really kind of vintage pops in this shoe. But once you come down through the uppers and the outsole, you do get more into the new tech of that really hard rubber compound. As you can see on the durability test, the Dremel 10 seconds highest grit sandpaper, I mean, not even a millimeter of damage on these things. So Nike is really bringing it with their hard rubber compounds, kind of the same as their most durable sneakers, kind of like the Vapor Next and the Vapor Cage 4, same compound on these shoes. So if you are using them to kick around, these are going to last you quite a bit. And even if you're using these for tennis or basketball outdoors, it's gonna last you a pretty long time too. Now the pattern is so interesting on the Zoom Zeros. In the back, it's more of like the slick, wet rubber tires you see on Formula One cars. It is that continuous pattern that goes all the way up into the forefoot. What I love about continuous patterns on shoes is it's all this opportunity for grip, right? When there's just two paws, there's only two places you can grip a shoe. Whereas when it's continuous, you can grip it everywhere. So it does give you a lot more grip on a slicker hard court or a slicker outdoor basketball court. As you get up into the forefoot, it's more just that chunked out pattern. Now it's not gonna grip anything other than hard court, other than asphalt or concrete, but for those surfaces and that hard rubber compound, these are gonna be awesome. Now the fit of the Jordan Zoom Zeros is pretty narrow. The Zoom Zero is just narrow as it is. It's an inflared last. Add the high top onto it, as well as a second booty liner. It's gonna be pretty snug. Now that's kind of a moot point because this shoe is just a little bit more of a collector's shoe at this point because there's just not a lot of inventory out there for men or women on this shoe. To my knowledge, you can really only get the women's models anymore. I could not find a men's model. So when you're buying this, if you can find your size, awesome. Make sure you leave me a comment below and tell me where you found it. Otherwise, you're pretty much buying this as a collector's item. Now, of course, I had to tear these things down, and on that midsole teardown, the biggest thing I found was this is a 3/4 length Zoom Air unit, which means it goes from the midpoint of the heel all the way to right before the ball of your foot, right before those metatarsal heads. Now, the reason I like that is because the Zoom Air unit now doesn't have to bend, so it's actually gonna stay inflated longer. You're gonna get more of that buoyancy from the Zoom Air unit versus like the full length Zoom Air units, which do bend in the forefoot, which actually crease them a little bit. You actually get less buoyancy in the Zoom Air. So I actually really like this configuration. I think it's just a little more ergonomic, a little more biomechanically correct. The next thing I noticed on the midsole teardown was just how thick this padding is on the slipper liner, or on the booty liner, I should say. It's a really thick liner, so it is gonna heat up quite a bit, but it is gonna give you a pretty snug, secure fit. And it does kind of fit with more of that 90s vibe. What I think the most underrated part of the teardown is you see here the white foam here, that's Nike Phylon. That's more of just their standard, more dense foam. But as you get here into the forefoot, you see this yellow foam starting to get really thick right here. That's a less dense form of Nike foam, which I really like because it's giving you just a little bit more thickness and cushion in the forefoot. However, it's a little more light. So it is still gonna jack your foot up a little more, give you a little bit more cushion, but your forefoot's gonna feel a little light. You're not gonna have that really hard, dense foam under there. So if you do have forefoot pain, those old Nike Zoom Zeros just might be a pretty good pickup. And so even though these are a little bit more of a limited edition collector collector's item type shoe. They really have given me a much greater appreciation for the old Nike Zoom Zero, so much so that I've already ordered a pair to test out on the outdoor basketball and tennis court. Is that 3/4 length Zoom Air and that hard compound rubber I really think are a beast on an asphalt or concrete court. Now, if you want to see another completely tricked out high top sneaker, make sure you click into this video up above and subscribe down below. I'll see you in the next video.